Sing me a song of a lass that is gone.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kaylee and this video is another video in the Go Tell the Bees That I Am Gone playlist series. Now, if you're new around here, this playlist series is talking all about the brand new book by Diana Gabaldon called Go Tell the Bees That I Am Gone. It is the 9th book in the series, so if you are worried about spoilers or you have not read up to chapter 67, I think we're starting with today, then maybe go to another video. I'm sure there'll be something here on the channel that you will enjoy. Or if you're just jumping on to this playlist series, jump back to chapter 1 and catch up. No doubt you'll be able to catch up with me very quickly because I'm not pumping these out very quick, even though I really want them done. But yeah, so today we're going to talk all about chapter, I'm pretty sure it's 67 that we're going to start with and go through to about chapter 70, I think. So there's a few that we're going to talk about today. Yeah, so if you're new here, again, spoiler, please be warned, you're definitely going to know what happened in each of these chapters. I don't think we're even halfway through this book yet. I've only just remembered as well. So I promise, even though I said it last week in the video, these videos are about to start coming out a lot quicker. We're going to try, I most certainly am going to have this series done before I leave to go to Scotland because it's going to annoy me if I haven't read this entire book by then. So again, I know I've said that previously, I'm very sorry, but I definitely will be pumping them out a lot quicker than what we have been. So just remember to have that notification bell on to keep up to date with my uploads. The first chapter I do want to talk about today is chapter 67 and it is titled Reunion. Now in this chapter we are starting it off with Roger, Bree, Mandy, Jem and Jemmy, I think. They're all there and they're heading back to Charlestown or heading to Charlestown to have a reunion of such with Fergus, Masali and their entire little brood that they've got going on there. Now remember that they are there with their own print shop and, you know, that sort of is setting the tone for where they are in life. What I really loved about this chapter is it was such a renewance of old things for me because, I mean, obviously we know that the Jamie and Claire print shop scene, that reunion was so spectacular. So to have it sort of happening again, but with, you know, the next generation, it was really cool. Like they're in a print shop, they're, you know, it's the next generation reuniting. It was a nice little tie-in and a nice little throwback. Now the reunion was really set around young Jeremiah reuniting with his parents, and obviously we know that was going to go down fine. There was obviously on the way there, you know, young Jeremiah was getting very, very worried about, you know, what Fergus and Masali's reactions are going to be after the death of like his little brother and everything that's happened up to this point. So it was really like, oh, he was walking on eggshells and he was really nervous. But of course we knew that it was just going to be all happiness when he finally did get home. And he does settle in straight away, which I love to see. The relief that Bree is also feeling at this point in time is definitely forecasted throughout the chapter. She's definitely relieved that they've made it all the way there, that nothing has happened, like everything is sort of safe and sound, but that relief of being with other family members and being with people that you know and love and trust, and you're not sort of worried that, you know, somebody's going to come along and see what you have in your horse and cart sort of thing, that was definitely portrayed in this chapter, that her relief is very high. We also then discover that Mr. Brumby, the man who she is actually going to do the what do you call it, the painting, the portrait for, is actually incredibly rich because he's somewhat of a smuggler himself. So he obviously brings in goods on ships and things, and he's declaring some things and he's not declaring others. Tax purposes, he's a tax dodge. So this is how he has definitely helped himself become much more wealthy very quickly. That was a nice little information grab throughout the chapter. I thought, we'll put that in the back of the brain because he might come up. Well, I mean, he's definitely going to come up at some point because she's going there to do a portrait for him. So he's definitely going to appear, but it's nice to have, okay, he's a little bit dodgy. We'll see how that plays out. Chapter 68 is set only 3 days later. Now, they've obviously settled in a little bit and they're there. Roger is now getting sort of ready to go and meet the Presbyterian elders and to get his sort of ordainedness happening. Now, I don't understand. This is taking a long time because I thought they had to get there in a real big hurry, but obviously, like, it was 3 days later. So they're settled in, they've had their catch-ups and all that sort of stuff. Jem and Jeremiah definitely have settled in to the print shop life, and they're off delivering the broadsheets and the newspapers and things like that that have been printed. And it was definitely noted that they're very much acting like little adults. They're very, what's the word? But they're just grown up, which is crazy. Like, we're reading about these little kids 1 minute and the next minute they're like little men. It's crazy. I mean, obviously back in that era too, like, you grew up a lot faster than what kids today do, but to see them, like, off working in the city is sort of, I think it's just a different atmosphere because it's not the safety on the ridge where they're just sort of mucking around and doing bits and pieces. They're actually off working, like they're delivering things and they're settling into life at the print shop very, very well. It also didn't take Fergus very long to find somebody for the whole gun situation, but the gentleman that he has found, and now I found this really random and a bit of a tie-in, but he's obviously a fisherman and he's off on his boat. He's currently caught a hammerhead shark. So at this point in time, Fergus and Roger are unable to speak to him, but they know he's there and they know who they are going to contact. So that sort of situation is starting to get ahead of itself as well. Like, Fergus instantly took on the role of finding someone for the guns to buy them from and has jumped straight into it. So it's only taken him 3 days to find someone in regards to the guns. But for a hammerhead shark to be brought into it, I was like, that's a random information grab. But I suppose, again, it was just to put it into place that, okay, we're on our roll, we've found someone for the guns, the storyline is progressing, but he's a little bit of a halt. I don't know if that was just to prolong how long Bree and Roger are going to be here in the town, or I was a little bit confused, I'm not going to lie. Because throughout these chapters, in all the chapters I talk about in today's video, it just seems to be dragging out a little bit, like this little chunk. I was getting a little bit like, this is a whole chapter dedicated to just, well, a little bit of information surrounded by some fill-in. I don't know. What were your thoughts on these chapters if you've already read the book, which no doubt you already have because everyone has. I'm probably the only Outlander fan left that hasn't read this book. But what were you thinking throughout these chapters? Were you getting I don't want to say bored because I'm not bored, but I'm definitely at a point where I'm like, do we need to know that little bit? Like, could we have not just jumped straight into it? This book really hasn't seen too much action, and I know we're only getting towards, or are we at the halfway point? But I feel like there would have been a little bit more action, drama. Just, I don't know, there's a lot of build up going on. So I think the next half of the book is going to be spectacular and full of action. But yeah, what are your thoughts so far? Chapter 69, and remember, we're still sort of in the 3rd day timeline at this point. Now, Bree and Masali are back at the print shop, and Masali is basically showing Bree all about how the printing press works and, letting her have a go at printing some things and, all that sort of stuff. Obviously, they're having a lot of chatter. And Bree and Masali talk about how Roger is becoming ordained, and Masali's sort of saying, well, it wouldn't have mattered what Fergus ever became with. Once you love someone, you love them, and it's, he could have been a pickpocket for the rest of his life. He could have hit people on the head, and she still would have loved him and, followed him across the world as she did. Now, while they are talking, it's really nice to see that Mandy, Joni, and is it Felicity, are playing, and they're running riot throughout the house. Now, not obviously running riot as in causing trouble or anything, but they're clearly playing. Now, this is something that I thought was really cute because Mandy doesn't really have many young, girlfriends back at the Ridge. Obviously, Fanny is there, but in her more age group where they can sort of run riot, she's one of the boys. She really is hanging out with the brothers and things like that. There aren't too many other young girls at the Ridge. So it was really nice to see her playing and mucking and running amok with Joni and Felicity. That was something else in this chapter that I really enjoyed. But like I said earlier, the chapters in this point, there's not much action going on. It's a lot of chit chat and conversations all based around the same day. So just keep that in mind in the timeline of events. Chapter 70 is titled A Sword in the Hand. And now this one is Roger returning to the print shop to get dressed and sort of get ready to go and meet the elders to discuss everything that is about to happen and to, you know, have his meeting to become ordained. This is what I mean. Like, we're 3 or 4 chapters into our own little bundle of chapters here, and we're 4 days worth. Like, this group of chapters, there was just something about it that started to annoy me. I think as I was reading it, I was like, okay, so we've had a conversation here, now Roger's gone and now he's come back. Come on, like, let's get to some action. But anyway, here he is, he's ready, he's getting ready to go, and during this point in time, he's sitting on the bench sort of, I guess he's pondering what's going to happen, and he starts to think about how when they do return to the Ridge, he does want to build them their own house again and have it, you know, set up for his own family. Obviously, once he is ordained, you know, people could be coming and going in the middle of the night. He'll have to have an area so that he can talk to people that's private. You know, all these thoughts are running through Roger's head. Young Jem does pull up a stool, basically, and sits next to Roger and asks, you know, so what is the whole thing? Like, are you going to be different? Are you, like, what's going to happen? And Roger basically explains, well, I'll always be the same to you. I'm your dad. This is, you know, that nothing of that sort of action is going to change, but we might have people coming around. I'm now going to be able to marry them, help them, you know, fulfill their contracts to say, you know, once people have been hand fasted and they get married within that 12-month period, you know, things like that. And Jemmy's like, so basically there's no difference. He's the only one sitting there going, well, you know, okay, that's great, but we've come all this way for what? Like, he's the young gentleman that I'm loving. I absolutely love Jem. He's so cute and fantastic. Now, chapter 71 is where we finally get a little bit of action. So, I mean, I've bagged this little group of chapters, but I suppose we do have a little bit of action going on here. Now, the chapter is titled Rolling Heads, and Bree, Masali, Joni, and Felicity have all headed off to the market to get food and get some melons if they're in season for dinner that night. Young Jem is actually left behind looking after Mandy, who's not coming down to the markets with them. Now, when they get there, they do find a melon sort of supply. Somebody is selling melons. They gather up their melons and they decide to go and sit by the river to eat one. But it's at this point in time that 2 young men, or 2 young, well, I think they were around the teenage-ish sort of years, are throwing tomatoes at a sign. Now, obviously, they then see Joni, Felicity, Bree, and Masali, and at this point, they sort of turn their anger and their just general, just annoying little brains towards them, and they start throwing tomatoes at, I think it was Felicity. I'm not sure which kid it was, but one of them they start throwing them at. Then they realise that Masali is there, and she is, of course, the printer's wife, which just rolls them up even more, and they start to attack all of the ladies as they are there. Now, Bree being so much taller, she obviously stands up to them much easier than the rest, but they do manage to whack her on the head with a bag. Now, originally I thought that the bag was just going to be full of tomatoes, but there was something definitely hard in there because it sort of knocked Bree for 6. And at this point, they try to pick Bree up and throw her in the river. Now, they don't succeed, but it came very, very close. They were really just trying to terrorize this whole situation. They were evil little spiteful young men. That's the nicest way I can put it. So yeah, they were trying to throw Bree into the river, but she does manage to sort of get out of their grasp and manage to hit one of them in the head with a rock. Now, this obviously makes them sort of question if attacking Bree is a smart move, and they back up a little bit and they sort of head away. They do, of course, threaten Masali and Bree and the kids and, you know, everything that just sort of comes in that situation. And I did note that, you know, Masali and Fergus, they've pretty much just left this situation where they're, you know, under attack, and now it's happening again here. Is this really the safest job for them? I don't know, but definitely having Bree around helped the whole situation. I mean, she's so much taller and strong. I don't want to say stronger than Masali, but she's definitely taller and, you know, more modern day-ish, stockish. So I don't know. I don't know if that's why the situation was sort of able to ease off. But what is happening? Like, is Masali now another, you know, is she under attack again? Like, and Fergus and the whole situation, is it just going to happen again? I'm kind of, I don't want it to happen because we know I love Masali. We know I love her. She's one of my favorite characters. So I don't want to see her in any harm's way. But it's just like, it's another situation that I think is about to repeat itself. Which I'm a little bit, I don't know. There's just, I don't know. I think because I was in such a mood with these chapters, because they were already a bit like, come on, let's get to going. We're 3 days in and we're 3 chapters in, you know, like let's, I don't know if I was just in a mood while reading these, but please let me know what you think. Did you enjoy these chapters when you were reading them? Or was this the point in the book where you're like, okay, we must be coming up to action in a larger scale, or a large event is coming because we're sort of dawdling a little bit here, if that makes sense? I hope it makes sense. Please don't think I'm bagging this book out, because I'm not. I have loved it. I guess I was just in a mood when I was reading these chapters. I don't know. But I would love to know what you guys are thinking about the book so far, and what, or if how many rereads you've done. I know I was reading some of the comments on the video earlier today, and someone has read the book 4 times already. I love it. I absolutely love it that you guys are rereading and rereading and rereading, because when we're at the end and we can talk all about it freely without the worry of spoilers, man, am I gonna have like so many questions for you guys, because you will have picked up on so many things that I have missed because you've done rereads. So I cannot wait to have those conversations with each and every one of you in the comment section. I just, yeah, I want to get to that point now so that we can do it. We can talk about it freely. And I want to know what's in that timeline or in the family tree, because I have not looked. And I've done so well to avoid the spoilers on the internet in regards to that family tree. So please don't tell me. But like, I want to know now, because it's been like, it's on the internet. It's on the internet that there's something in the family tree that's different, and I want to know who, what, when, or where. Starting to annoy myself with how slow these videos are coming out. But I promise we will definitely have at least 1 or 2 more this week in regards to this series. So again, please hit that bell, the notifications, and all that sort of jazz. Hit like, share this video if you know of anyone that might be interested. And hopefully I can get to about, I think I wanted to be at 3,500 by the time we went to Scotland in the subscriber category. Not that that matters, but like personal goals for the year. So I hope you're all having a great week, and I will see you very shortly for the next video. Take care. Bye.
Sing me a song of a lass that is gone.